Every setback hides a seed of growth. The real question is, will you water it, or will you let it die? This was something my grandmother often told me when I was younger, but at that time I didn't fully understand. I thought difficulties were punishments, signs that life was unfair. Only later did I realize that every hardship was a stepping stone to something greater, if only I dared to keep walking. Let me take you on the journey of a boy named Armin, whose story is not just his own. It belongs to anyone who has ever struggled, stumbled, or felt crushed under the weight of despair. Armin was born in a small town where opportunities were scarce and dreams often dissolved before they could take shape. His father worked long hours at a factory and his mother stitched clothes to add to the family's income. They didn't have much, but they had love. And they had hope, at least in the beginning. As a child, Armin loved to draw. He would spend hours sketching houses, mountains, and faces on scraps of paper his mother collected from neighbors. His father, tired from work, would pat his head and say, "One day, son, your drawings will open doors we can't even imagine." But life doesn't always move in straight lines. When Armin was 15, his father lost his job. Suddenly, the house that was once filled with laughter echoed with silence. His father grew bitter, his mother tired, and Armin felt the heavy responsibility to help. He stopped drawing and started working odd jobs, carrying goods, cleaning shops, anything that brought in a little money. At night, when he lay in bed, he thought of the papers tucked away in a box under his bed, the sketches he hadn't touched in months. A quiet voice inside whispered, "Don't forget me." But survival drowned that voice out. Years passed. Armin finished school, barely scraping by, and entered a university in the city. But being poor in a world where others flaunted wealth is a loneliness few can describe. He felt small, invisible. His classmates had laptops, expensive art supplies, and connections to people who could open doors. Armin had none of that. There were nights when he thought of quitting. What's the point? He asked himself. Maybe dreams are only for people who can afford them. But one evening changed everything. It was raining hard. Armin had no umbrella, so he ran to a bus stop for shelter. There, an old man was sitting, carefully sketching the raindrops on a pad. His lines were simple but alive, capturing beauty in something most people ignored. Armin couldn't help staring. The old man noticed and smiled. "Do you draw?" Armin hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Why don't you anymore?" the man asked, as though he could see through him. Armin sighed. "Because life doesn't give me the time. Because dreams don't pay bills." The old man chuckled softly. "Dreams don't pay bills, but they feed the soul. And a starved soul cannot survive long, no matter how much money you earn." He tore a page from his pad and handed it to Armin. On it, he had drawn a single flower growing through a crack in the pavement. Underneath, he had written, "Even in the hardest places, life finds a way." That image struck something deep inside Armin. He went home that night, opened his box of old sketches, and for the first time in years picked up a pencil. At first his hand trembled. The lines felt clumsy, the shapes unsteady. But soon as the pencil moved, he felt alive again. It was as if a part of him that had been asleep was slowly waking. He stayed up until dawn, drawing until his fingers cramped. The next day he took a bold step. He posted one of his sketches online. He expected nothing, maybe a few pity likes. But to his surprise, people noticed. Someone commented, "This feels so real, please share more." Another wrote, "You have a gift." It wasn't fame or fortune, but it was enough to reignite his fire. Armin began posting regularly. Some days, hardly anyone paid attention. Other days, a drawing would go a little further, reaching strangers who thanked him for his work. Slowly, he built a small community of people who connected with his art. Still, the struggle was real. He often skipped meals to buy pencils and paper. He faced criticism from relatives who said, "Art is useless. Get a real job." He battled self-doubt every time a post got ignored. But in his heart, he remembered the old man's drawing of the flower in the crack. One day, his university announced a national art competition. The prize was not just money, but an opportunity to showcase his work in a gallery. Armin wanted to try, but fear gripped him. "What if I fail?" he thought. What if they laugh at my work? But then he remembered his father's words from long ago. One day, son, your drawings will open doors we can't even imagine. With trembling hands, he submitted his entry, a piece depicting a boy holding a lantern in the middle of a storm, guiding others who had lost their way. It was raw, emotional, imperfect, but it was real. Weeks later, Armin received a call. He had won first place. Tears filled his eyes as he stood in the gallery, looking at his drawing framed on the wall. People he had never met stood around, admiring it, discussing it, seeing hope in it. In that moment, Armin realized something powerful. His struggles hadn't destroyed him. They had shaped him into the very artist who could create such work. His hunger, his loneliness, his pain, they were the colors on his canvas. And without them, his art would have been empty. Armin's journey didn't end there. He went on to teach art to children in poor communities, reminding them that no matter their circumstances, their dreams mattered. He built a career, but more importantly, he built a life filled with meaning. And every time someone asked him how he kept going when life was hard, he would smile and say, "Every setback carries a seed. My only job was to water it." If this story inspired you, remember, you too have seeds of greatness hidden in your struggles. Don't give up on them. And if you want more stories that fuel your heart, don't forget to subscribe to Motivoons.